Hey, everybody, welcome to the show tonight. We've got kind of a different one. We're going to do just kind of a year in review, talk about all the crazy stuff that's happened over this last year, stuff with the show, stuff with just how we're growing, where we're going, things coming up for next year. So just sit back, kind of have fun in the chat room. We'll just talk and we'll just kind of go over the craziness that was 2021.
Welcome to the Three Beards podcast. My name's Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
I'm afraid that is quite then live to send the innocent to their death? Is this justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right, now this time let's bring on another special guest. You may not know this guy. He is kind of a stranger we're going to kind of introduce him to the world. Oh, wait, he's already been on the show. Mark Eddy, how are you? How are you, sir?
Yeah, it's been on the show more than once, so it's...
Yes.
Hopefully people have long enough memories to remember some of the Mothman episode from earlier this year and some of the other collaborations we've done.
That's part of one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on was because of that too, because that was something completely, I'd never even done anything like that before, and then all of a sudden we bring you on, we do that little collaboration thing, and then we end up doing that other one for Ramona Scott with Joey. That
was basically showing the influence of growing up watching Saturday Night Live and Mr. Bill and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if Austin would remember the Mr. Bill skit.
No,
that one.
I just know him, but
little Gumby-like character.
Yeah, I know that, but I never really watched him.
Yeah, I remember seeing all those live for the first time they were ever aired. It just stuck with me, that just stupid humor kind of thing, and I think I just glommed onto that. I think it was kind of like soul connection with that type of comedy.
Yeah, and that's, welcome everybody's show, Carolyn, Chris is watching from thing. He was at track practice. Chris, thanks for tuning in there. Joanne, hey, welcome to the show. We're just going to be kind of covering everything. And that was just, I had an absolute blast doing that one. That one was just something that was pretty cool. For anybody that doesn't, you can check that out in our archives and see that one where it was kind of like the roast of Mark Eddy is what it ended up being.
It was hilarious. Everyone did a great job, and there were still 2 or 3 skits that couldn't be submitted because of that Texas and the southern ice storm, that winter weather that created a lot of problems in Kentucky as well.
Yeah, I remember that. Excuse me.
We'll have to do something like that again.
Yeah, and it's like, and I kind of followed that up a little bit when Joey reached out to me, and it was almost kind of like War of the Worlds-esque type thing, and he just kind of gave me the general, idea, and I ran with it, and I wrote that script, over there, it just through the edit, and I wrote through that, and the part, a little, grandiosing here, self-goal, pat. I did that in 3 takes.
Oh, okay. That was good. Yeah. And that was a lot of like voiceover work too, you did.
Yeah, and that was, so I just read that, Max, hey, well, thanks for tuning in. I mean, that was one, oh man, the roast, we didn't have enough time, but just to let everybody know, I had come up with the perfect thing, like straight out of James Bond, because he's got his 2, Mason Olaf, he's got his 2 cats. So think Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, something like that. I just wanted him to swivel around in his chair while he has one of the cats, just like, so Mark, you thought you'd steal my ideas, it was perfect. It would have worked excellent, but we didn't have time. So it's just, we'll have to do it again, but that's.
Yeah. And Joey did a great job editing that whole, 12 skits or so that were submitted for Ramona's show.
Yeah. Well, Herlin, I tell me, Max would have pulled it off perfectly. That's why it was a shame we didn't have time. He was so busy, he didn't have time to do it. But it was just with his office, the way his demeanor, is everything. It just would have been perfect the way, just how it would have. I said it would have worked, and so it was just too bad we didn't have that opportunity. But yeah, so next time. Yeah.
No, hopefully there will be a next time soon.
Well, wouldn't that have made it even more epic if you're sitting here doing that whole thing and then you're like, oh God, just the cat just starts mauling you. I mean, it would have worked. It would have. It couldn't have gone wrong. That's insane. It just, either way, it would have been just perfect. Ultimate, clickbait type thing. The cat freaks out, takes out a display case. Max is freaking out because some priceless fossil just gets destroyed because Olaf or Mace just, takes it out, takes out the TV. I mean, just
all over
chaos ensues.
Runs off with one of the prize plesiosaur teeth.
Yeah. When he freaks out the cat because he's got that fake beard on, nobody doesn't recognize him. The cat's just peering around the door because they're not sure who that is in the office. Oh man, so much stuff. For everybody watching and stuff like that, and this is a serious question. Does this not feel like these last 2 years have been an eternity?
No. 2020, yes. 2021, I can't believe it's almost over.
Why? Yeah, well, it's just one of those things. I mean, I feel like so much stuff has happened
this year. We
can even go back. I mean, from 2016 on. I mean, just like I said, so much stuff has been compressed into this 6-year period that, I mean, it feels like decades worth of stuff has happened in this short period of time. I mean, because it's just
all because of Harambe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You had to shoot the gorilla.
And just, yeah, I remember.
That's exactly what happened. The day they shot the gorilla is the day the world went to hell.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Well, I think it was that, and I think it was also blamed on the brooms.
Oh yeah,
that thing when everybody was standing up the broom, and everybody's like, "Can we please all do that again so we can reset whatever timeline we warped into?" Yeah. Oh, look at you, ray of sunshine. It's just warming up.
No, we don't want to. Always posting about air signs and about how bad air signs are. I'm like, I'm just a Leave me alone. All right, I didn't do anything.
I would say it. Chris, in the same thing. I mean, it feels like it's gone quick, but it just feels like when you look back and you're like, remember this, and you're like, yeah, how long ago was that? That was last week. Seriously? I mean, it just so much stuff has happened. It just, I mean, we were talking about this year in review. So I mean, I don't even know the best place to begin.
What happened in January of 2021?
Yeah, I mean, it's
the election. That's right. I forgot about that.
No, that was 2020.
Yeah.
So you have the ongoing insurrection.
Didn't we just do this timeline of 2020?
I
think we. Oh no! Kobe died in 2020. 2020, March 2020.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Nothing really crazy happened. I mean, the ramp up of COVID Delta variant. I mean, they launched the first. I mean, just recently, all the space shuttles to space so far. I mean,
they. King, thanks for tuning in.
Do you want to just quickly watch Netflix's Death of 2021 and see what it's about?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was just, you look back at the stuff and it's just, there's just, I mean, I'm trying to remember, because we've had some celebrities that have died this year. I mean, we've had.
Didn't Betty White just turn 100?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. She's pretty much just just across the board. I think she's going to survive everything.
Do you think the day that she dies, the day the world ends, or that's when it actually starts going down?
If Betty White dies, I am thinking about a bunker.
Everyone with a lot of money.
Yeah, we need to be worried about whatever takes out Betty White.
Yeah, you have to look at Betty White and Keith Richards. How they've survived everything. They are invincible.
Betty White remembers when Keith Richards was born. Type. That's one of the jokes. But yeah, Joanne's correct. I mean, like one of the, the serious type things, that happened, is that mass grave discovery. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. Of the indigenous children up in Canada. And, that's just, abhorrent, that thing is, so for anybody that doesn't know about it, you need to go check that out. It's, I mean, however you say her name, Ghislaine, she was just found guilty.
Oh, really? When?
Mm-hmm. They came back, I think. Yeah, today I think it was 5 out of 6 of the charges she was facing.
Right.
Nothing on the news. Absolutely nothing across Facebook. Nothing. And
so that was.
Well,
yeah, it's that contest. Who outlives who? Keith Richards or Betty White? I'm not sure, because Betty White just has these amazing genetics sort of thing. Keith Richards is pickled. So which one is it? I mean, he's just, he's all but just ingested formaldehyde, and mummified himself anyway, because he's taken everything else. So his body is just, being preserved from that.
So unfortunately, it's all political stuff. The main thing, obviously, was the riot at the Capitol.
But that wasn't in 2021, though.
It was January 6th, 2021. It happened this year.
Was that 2020?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about. This stuff. I mean, I feel like that was 2 years ago.
And unfortunately, literally everything else up to number 7 on BuzzFeed's thing is political stuff. And then apparently Elon Musk passed Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, which was bound to happen. Oh my! Okay, Kim and Kanye, their marriage ended, and then homeboy bought the house across the street.
Yep, that's
my God.
Yeah, that thing. Like King just brought up, Alec Baldwin. I mean, that was a crazy one too. For anybody that's not really up to speed on that story. I mean, if you look into it, anybody who's a gun owner that, you know, has a gun knows it doesn't matter if it's a toy pistol, you know, just I happen to have a prop right here, you know, I have a toy pistol. It's not, it's so anybody that has this one, you know that at no point do you point it at somebody, you know, it's because this is, you know, you don't ever put your finger in the trigger. You don't, it's one of those. And so when he talks about, well, it was an accident, it doesn't just go off. So there's so many things that happen. It's like, who put a real bullet in it? Mm-hmm. And it's a prop gun, and he's not on, this wasn't during the shoot part to where it wasn't like he was part of the movie. He was out there and it was just like an accidental, you know, the gun ended up in the direction of the camera crew. He's behind the camera. He pointed this weapon at this, I think she was the director of cinematography.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he points this pistol in her direction, and he says he didn't pull the trigger, but obviously it wasn't that type of gun. It was a revolver. So there's only two ways that it fires. You either you have to cock the hammer, and that goes and hits and fires a bullet, or you pull the trigger. So either way, an action had to occur for that to happen.
It seems like there are so many unusual combinations of things to happen for the gun to go off, and
mm-hmm.
what you're talking, Alex shouldn't have been.
My son just brought me back, one of his other ones.
Okay.
So like I said, you can, depending on the gun, like you said right here, you can't. So you can slightly pull the trigger and it'll go off. You don't really have to touch the trigger for it to. You can see I barely even touch it and it goes. So he could say, well, I didn't pull the trigger. Well, if you cock the hammer back and you barely tap the trigger, it's going to go, or you have to pull it. But it's one of those.
Why was there live rounds, first of all?
Yeah, why in a movie set they don't have live rounds. So this is.
How many movies have you been in? Not saying every man knows how to shoot a gun. Check the gun. I mean, ask somebody to check it, make sure it's not loaded. Why is there live ammunition? And I mean, technology nowadays is so good. Why do you have to have ammunition in the first place?
The whole thing just doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't. And that's
fake it, man. You can fake CGI so good nowadays. Why do you have to have real ammo firing? It makes no sense.
Yeah, and actually, for a double action revolver, it takes much more pressure just to pull that trigger versus cocking the hammer back first. Is that the case? It takes much less pressure to fire the weapon. He may have been referring to that. Just a gentle touch could set off the weight. Yeah, and that's what I just showed. It's like this. You just barely have to touch the trigger, and that the hammer goes and it fires. He didn't. He can say, "Well, I didn't pull the trigger." Well, if you touch it, but it's the same thing. It goes over the same principle. Why are you taking this, pointing it at somebody? And
okay, so stop right there, right? You didn't pull the trigger. Nothing happens, right? You go to shoot that scene, you pull the trigger like you're supposed to, you kill that person now you're aiming the gun at. Either way, you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
So either way, you're at fault.
Yeah, this is a cap gun. My son's got tons of Nerf guns. And even with these, even though this is just a toy, he knows, and I've told him since he was little, whenever you have anything that's potentially like a firearm, whatever you point this at, you're intending to fire at. You're intending to shoot. So no matter what you have, it doesn't matter if this is a 22, a 9mm, a 357. It doesn't matter what gun you have. If you take this, you put it in your hand, and you point it at something, that is your intended target. And so
listen, right? I haven't had my concealed weapons carry permit yet. I've been hunting enough to know. Common sense to anybody. What is the number one rule when you have a gun in your hand? Safety.
Yeah.
Where the fuck was the safety in this situation?
There's not on a revolver. There's not. There's no safety.
Well, either way, man.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's just like you've been taught. Like you see, like I'm holding it here. Your finger is nowhere near the trigger. You don't put your finger inside here and
until you're absolutely ready to shoot.
Yep.
Yeah, great. And you have to wonder, why was there a bullet put into the gun in the first place?
Exactly.
That's
the.
I know that they, like they said, they had fake ammunition to make it to have that fire. But why would anybody just throw in? Why was there live ammunition?
Yep. Well, there shouldn't have been any ammunition in it. Even blanks. There's no.
Has that been explained?
Yeah, that's one of the things that, like I said, it doesn't really make sense, because we'll treat this like the prop gun. This is going to come, if this is movie sets, they have an armorer. They have a certain person that is the set person that takes the weapon, gives it to the actor for the scene. It's inspected by them. They've armed it. They hand it to the actor for the scene. And as soon as the scene's done, you don't give it to anybody on the set. The armorer takes back control of that weapon, secures it. And so the only person that could have put a live round would either be the armorer or Alec Baldwin. So somebody really screwed up. I mean, like I said, it's just,
there's so many action movies, man. Like, how is this possible?
The Brandon Lee thing. Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. It's just, it's one of these, it just, I mean, if you've ever watched like the run throughs when they do like John Wick, have you ever watched those ones? When they, when they're actually filming, you see like the little spark, you can see the blanks that he's doing, and like I said, and that's the difference. But it's one of those things. At no point is behind the camera do you have the director, oh, dang, man, this is a cool weapon, pointed at the, hey, person in charge of the hey, boom guy.
Bang, 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 bang.
You're not doing that. Yeah. So,
and it really is a shame that an accident like that is going to tarnish his career when he had a big role in Beetlejuice. The Hunt for Red October is probably one of the best movies to come out in the last about 30 years. Great interaction between Alec and Sean Connery. It was really a terrific movie, and it's just,
it was.
Yeah, it's just so disappointing that something like that, he's going to be remembered more for this accident than his accomplishments that on screen that it brought a lot of entertainment to millions of viewers over his lengthy career.
Yeah, I mean, it is what I mean. It's like, how does a guy go from Beetlejuice? I mean, it just is. He has some movies where he was really great at acting, did in these amazing roles, but it's just, it's this. Yeah, they. I mean, we, like I said, I was looking at some of the celebrities too as we were talking about this. I mean, we lost quite a few people. I mean, it ranges everything from Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he he died. But you've got, Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron passed away this year. Ed
John
Asner.
Madden just passed away.
Yeah, Elgin Baylor, Ned Beatty. I mean, just Bobby Bowden, the Florida State coach.
Oh yeah.
He's a WVU coach.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm trying. There's a couple other really well-known actors and stuff that DMX. He died this year too. Bob Dole, the senator, he passed.
Harold Lynn just mentioned Charlie Watts. I mean, geez. Stone's drummer for
Mm-hmm. Yep.
almost 60 years.
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's why I was giving Chastity such a hard time when she was just like, it's just warming up. I'm like, yeah, it's. I don't know if everybody's seen that meme. It's like the one person that's in, I think it was they're in this little dinghy, and it shows 2020 is this giant wave, and then 2021 is this even bigger one. So we could, I think 2022, I think they pictured one had it as Godzilla. Just to top it. And I'm looking here. Let's see that. Yeah, Charles Grodin. He actually Beethoven, the Heartbreak Kid, Midnight Run. He passed.
Rosemary's Baby.
Dusty. Bassist for ZZ Top. He died.
Mm-hmm.
Dusty Hill. There's. I mean, we could just go down. Let's see it. I think. Oh yeah, Larry King. He passed.
Oh yeah.
Larry King died this year. Everybody remembers from the 80s. 80s rock. Tawny Katane. She was on all the
White Snake video.
Yep, she was on all the the posters in the bedroom. Because she was. Yeah, so she
was on the hood of the car.
Yeah, Cloris Leachman. She passed too. Just Rush Limbaugh. He was another notable one that. And the tons. You just go through Norm Macdonald. Comedian. John Madden just passed. He just died too, and it's just. Harry Reid. Harry Reid just passed.
Alex Trebek was last year.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
So you could just go through this list. There's. You can go to some place just to go celebrity deaths. And they'll show you stuff. But there was a lot.
It's really hard to keep going, Chastity, when you keep bashing Geminis.
Yeah. Now that you mention John Madden. I never met him. I just saw him countless times. He really, I think he really knew the game of football.
Yeah.
And
yes.
When he switched over into broadcasting, he explained the intricacies of why this play worked because the left tackle did this. He gave you a thorough explanation that you could understand, and I know all of his graphs and things that he wrote on the. Well, he helped to develop that, but when he was drawing it, it made sense. I'm sure it helped, younger people to understand. Oh, okay, I know what the right guard and tackle were supposed to be doing on this play, and why this worked. You can look at when they do the replay of the last play, you can see maybe why it failed, and he would explain it. He taught you the game.
Yeah, he really did. He was pivotal. It's just unfortunately most people, the younger generation, know him from just by name only from Madden NFL, the game. So they said most. So like
I love watching John Madden.
So if I asked Chase, do you know who John Madden is? It'd most likely be no, but have you heard of, Madden, the game? Oh yeah, and most people have heard the game, but they don't actually know the guy, the man, the legend that was from it. Chastity, like I said, is it shocking? No, I think it's just every now and then it's weird how sometimes it just comes in like these massive waves. You know how it is.
John was 85.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What was the cause of death? I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah, he just passed.
The crazy thing too, I grew up watching John Madden, and I think it was with Al Michaels all the time. And the craziest thing to me was he had his own bus. He never flew. He was afraid to fly. So every single Sunday, he would drive in his bus to the next city. That was the coolest thing.
So, suppose they were all, just on the bus, or whoever was with them, the crew. They just talked football for the drive.
To be a fly on the wall back then. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the games, his broadcasting partner for a lot of the games was Pat Summerall. Is that right?
I think so.
And I think Pat had a lengthy career with the Giants. I might be wrong about that. I thought it was the Giants. Correct.
I know he was with Raiders. That's where he went.
Pat Summerall.
Pat Summerall.
I think he was with the Giants, but both of the Pat and John came from legendary team. John probably made the Raiders more of a legendary team. There was that famous play with what was it, about 78, where Kenny Stabler kind of forward fumbled past the football, and Dave Casper kind of kicked it into the end zone, and someone, Fred Biletnikoff or someone, fell on the ball in the end zone, and that was the winning touchdown. I don't know if you can coach that. I don't know if that was a real play, but that was one of those game-changing snafu type plays where rules were changed after that you can't forward fumble pass a ball. Your arm has to be going forward, not underhanded, and I'm pretty sure Madden was the coach for the Raiders at that time, and there's all the Al Davis shenanigans that he was involved in, and
Al Davis was a piece of work.
Yeah, the Raiders refused to have they were the only team that didn't have the stripe on the sleeves. I mean, it was. John did help to make, a powerhouse team there, throughout the 70s. I think he was the Raiders coach when there was that immaculate reception with the Steelers.
The Steelers, yep.
Yeah, so he was involved in. Madden was there as a coach for some of these big plays. He won a Super Bowl, but I think his lasting legacy was educating people about the game, and I don't think you can top what he did.
No, yeah, he was definitely one of the pioneers. Before we get too far away from it, I wanted to bring up that stuff too. It was, King, I think it was King that brought it up, or was it? No, it was Chris. Chris G that brought it up. The Astroworld Concert. You guys remember those events?
That was like last month.
Yeah, that was fairly recent. Yeah, Congress is going to be investigating that concert.
They should.
They're going to look into it, and it's one of those. It's it's one of those things that's for most people there is the symbolism and everything about it. Is just there was. Do you guys remember? Did you look into all the symbolism on that?
It was disturbing.
Yeah, that one was. That I'm trying to bring up some pictures here for people to see. Let's see, and then as you guys are going, don't let me have dead air as I'm going on here.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of people that are trying to, they're trying to filter as conspiracy theories, trying to do stuff, but there was just, that it was just.
It's not a conspiracy theory if like people are entering like a horned head, like demonic looking head. How do you misinterpret that?
People are blind. They don't.
Yeah, and that's
shit.
yeah.
What's the conspiracy? It's there. It is.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It's I know it's attendees. Basically, we're describing it from everything from hellish, and and they were basically making the claim that pretty much these things, it was basically, it came down to like it was a sacrifice. That I think, yeah, Joanne, all you have to do, just go in, pretty much just in any Google search, and just type in Astroworld Concert, and you will see this stuff. Everything from the imagery, everything they're doing. And yeah, Chris, yes. Yeah, they knew what they're doing. That was the thing. It's just, it was not, it wasn't subtle at all. It was overt, the imagery, the symbolism. Yeah, there's not really much of another way that you could really take it other than that. That there's really not, I don't even really know how you could, what else you could really do, to say, but yeah, other than it's apparent evil. Yeah, it's like Chris, was just saying that security gates were rushed around, but they still let the people stay. Yeah, it seemed to like people were herded in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think with that Who concert in like 1981 or so that was something comparable to what happened, but it just seems like the circumstances were different. It just, I don't know. The festival seating just was a bad idea, but with this more recent tragedy, it should have. That seems like it should have been It should have been preventable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Joanne. Yeah, she said. Yeah, I know now. I just didn't know the name. Yeah, it's one of those. You just, anybody that just takes the time. You go through and you just do the imagery. And just when you're going through just everything, it just like here. I'll bring this up just to show for people that are on the screen. Here's one photo. It's just between I mean, you'll see coming down, just
Mm-hmm.
all of the. I mean, I think this is one of the ones, like, it looks like he's eating you as you enter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so cool. TikTok videos. That's all it is.
Yep. Like this one, just the skull. It's just, you just go through, and it's pretty amazing in just the fact, like, here's, see you on the other side.
So
the images seem like they should give you a forewarning of what you're getting into. That's a lot different than like a Dead concert where you just have the carpets on the floor, and you really don't have too many special effects because everyone's there for the 3-hour concert.
Yeah,
it's not all this other.
Yeah, and Chris brought this up. The sacrifice of children to Moloch. Has anybody else noticed that there seems to be a lot that the ties to Moloch and stuff? This really seem to be an increase in this lately in the last few years. Like, there's a lot of things that seem to, this name keeps coming up. And so it's, I don't know if anybody else has picked up on that, but I've noticed that this isn't just like a one-off. This is something that the names, the old gods are returning. These ones are, these sacrifices, these, things to these gods, they seem to be becoming more and more prevalent.
It's in, have you seen the movie Metropolis, the silent movie from 1927? It's Moloch appears in there. He's a character in Paradise Lost. That's going back to 1674, I think, when that was published. I think what Craig, what you're talking about with the old gods return, it seems like they haven't gone away. Maybe they're becoming a little bit more prevalent, but it seems that Fritz Lang and Milton did present warnings about Moloch.
Yeah. And it's kind of one, as we've, it's I agree. There's really weird things that, I agree completely with that one. And there's one. Do you remember the Rudyard Kipling, Gods of the Copybook Headings?
No, I'm a little bit familiar with Kipling. I've only read the Jungle Book.
All right, so I'm going to put this in the chat for people to do this. If everybody gets a chance, check this out. You can go to the Kipling Society .co.uk is one that they've got it easily to for everybody to see. And this one, if you see this future, like I said, this is actually, for somebody when this was written, it really rings true nowadays. Just how things are common sense, just normality, it's out of whack. And that's where, this story comes into. So yeah, get the Gods of the Copybook Headings. So it's not a long read. It's literally, I'll show you on the screen here so everybody can see it here, and you can see just, it's going to take you 3 to 5 minutes to read. That's it.
So
That's it.
Kind of backtracking here with the whole Ghislaine thing. So she was found guilty. That's it. So what happens now? Are the secret names finally being let out, or is that just being under the bus again?
No, that's the elites. That's the thing. Everybody has. We've talked about this on the show several times. The magician's hand. Okay, right now everything that went on January 5th. That was that's the magician's hand. They want you to keep watching this. Keep paying attention to this. Keep paying attention to this. Here's something that was no worse than any other protest, any other thing that was going around, in regards to property damage type of, but because it was at the Capitol, it was able to capture everybody's attention. Everybody was paid attention to this. This is something, but when you have something like this, where Epstein, Maxwell, this involved the royal family. This involves, CEOs of major corporations. This is old, old money. This is a billions of dollars a year industry in sex trafficking. And these two were major players. And yeah, Mona, correct, exactly. Smoke and mirrors. And that's what it is. She's going to take the fall, but nobody's, Prince Andrew's nothing's going to happen to him. He's a major player in the royal family. The Queen's covering for him. Some would say the royal family is more implicitly involved than just Prince Andrew. But here you have somebody, a major piece of the monarchy in the UK is highly involved in this underage, sex, scene, and nothing's going to happen. I mean, it will go away. She'll get convicted, and it's going to be left to a few of us saying, "Hey, when are we going to find out this stuff?" And they're going to be off to the next thing. It's going to be the next congressional hearing on the January 5th uprising, but you'll never hear about this.
But it isn't the sex trafficking and Moloch basically connected?
Yeah. Yeah, that's and yeah, and Chris, yeah, that's the thing. And it's just real quick, and she'll get off on a peel and something will happen in stuff. Yeah, and that's the one, like what Joanne said, assistant is missing, and so are they going. That's the thing. The only people that are going to take the fall, it's going to be little minor players. The ones that are actually the powerful, nothing's going to happen to.
Yep.
The ones that are actually running the industry, because what people don't want to admit, because it's either they don't want to disturb themselves with the details. But I'm sorry, but most of the people in Congress, Senate, U.S. government, governments around the world are involved in this. They're part of this. They're part of this thing. Everything is known. I mean, you can't see what's going on and say, at this point and say, well, I have no idea. I mean, that's because you've either been bought or you're willingly ignoring it. So just that way you can say, well, I didn't know anything. I mean, we've either elected some really stupid people, or they've just turned their backs just so that way they don't have to admit it. Oh yeah, it's going to be like Epstein thing. It's going to be the same thing. People are just, it's kind of like we use that other conspiracy, the Clinton hit list. People are like, that's not true. Really? How many people? I mean, we've, Mark excluded, because he actually knows this, but how many people in your life do you know that have been killed? I mean, most people could say, well, I know like one, you might have some people say one or two, But when you start getting in 40s, the 50 range, that people who have died, not only from mysterious things or have been killed, there starts to be,
a pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern to this.
Ignore.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. It's called, you've suffered from Arkansas. Yeah. it's just, I mean, you can't, as I've tried to explain this to people, it's one of those things where you can claim, well, I don't know anything about this. Well, yes, but it's kind of funny how if people such as my mechanic just suddenly happens to have brake failure and crashes into a telephone pole and dies.
Bad mechanic.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you find out that the baker that normally does the events I do suddenly has a massive heart attack. And now, and these are all right before somebody is trying to ask questions or do something, and all of a sudden these people, these business associates, all these stuff, have these mysterious and untimely deaths all the time. And everybody's like, it's just a coincidence. 1, okay, 2, 3. When we start, like I said, when we start getting in the 40 and 50 range, and I think it's even more than that. I think it's close to 100, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just, that's not, that's for a whole nother show to that one. But yeah, it's, we have to get back to, this year. Yeah, who are we, Julianne, who are we associated with? Hopefully nothing that has to do with the Clintons. It's just one of those. Yeah, that's right. It's one of those. I don't know if they even really give you a choice. I think it's like when you should have stopped is when you suddenly are like, oh, my brakes aren't working, and you're going over the cliff.
Like drowning Mona.
Yeah. Yeah, and then other things that, like some major events, that condominium collapse in Florida.
Oh damn! I completely forgot about that.
So
yeah, I did too, Austin.
That's how much that happened in June. So that was only 6 months ago. That's how much stuff happens, these years that you just.
What wasn't it just only a year and 4 days ago that supposedly a missile was fired across Nashville and kind of destroyed that building on Christmas Day? And
yeah, wasn't that 20? I think it was in 2020, but yeah, it was like.
Yeah, it was just only a year, almost exactly a year ago, just a couple days past it. But they found the guy's perfectly fine driver's license, even though the entire van was blown up, and was there even a body left to piece together? But they found his driver's license in perfect shape. And
was that like one of the 9/11 hijackers where you find the perfect you find the passport?
Yeah, and
you just happen to find the passport.
Yeah, and have you heard anything about investigating that bombing a year ago? Yeah, and there was supposed to be a bomb in that motorhome. But there's a video, if you can still find it, it gets scrubbed, but you can see this streak across the sky. Yeah. And it's not like horizontal. It's just, you can see it. It's like going up like that. And all of a sudden, boom. And it's just, and and that was the thing. It's not burned up. And that's the thing. It's just, you find some stuff that, there's devastation everywhere, but you find these things that it literally looks like, oops, you just drop it right in place, and it just happens to be found. You get some stuff that just, and for me, it's the crazy part of just the stuff that has happened. It's just, you forget. I think. Yes, this happened. I forgot about this one. The January 9th, that I think it was the Boeing 737 plane out of Jakarta that disappeared.
Malaysian
I think I
Airlines?
missed that story.
Wasn't that the Malaysia airline?
I think so.
That was it feels like that was
There was
forever ago.
there was another one several years ago too that supposedly crashed underwater, but they sent the little submarines down and never picked up the pings from the black box.
I'm trying to think of anything else that happened.
Yeah. Well, there's protests everywhere. I mean, we have the big C. That's variants. If anybody wants something funny, go check out South Park, their pandemic special.
That one was great. I haven't seen the post-COVID one.
Good God, that is funny. If you guys have not seen it, you definitely go check that out.
I haven't seen the newest one, but yeah.
It's the kids come back from the future, and it's one of, I think Kenny, I remember when it dies from, it's the Delta Plus rewards card variant.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They keep, because there's always just some variant. But yeah, if you want a good laugh, you gotta check that out. But I know we've had a lot of protests this year, still around the world. One of the craziest ones, especially scary for me, and I don't know if anybody else picked up on this too, but if you've been watching stuff what's going down in Australia with the lockdowns and stuff, they built, it's going to be the quarantine centers. So if you're sick, you get taken to these things. They're currently building a facility that isn't going to be ready until 2024.
So this, how do? Okay, you can rush out the 3 vaccines in like a weekend. Deliver billions of doses all around the world, but it's going to take a couple more years to build what you're talking about, Craig.
Yeah, well, and this is the thing. Like for me, this is a long-term, we use a joke, you've always, Alex Jones, they're building FEMA camps, Walmart, you've got those things, but this is a real thing. I mean, it's 2021, we're coming to the end of 2022. They're building a quarantine center that is not going to be open for 2 more years to handle COVID.
How big is it? A contractor should be able to get.
Oh, it's big. It's large. That's why I said there. So the question is what is going, what is the plan? Because it's like, if this is supposed to be like, we're getting a handle on this, well, obviously you're not putting money in this investment into a facility if you're thinking that you're going to get a handle on this. I mean, this is 2 years out. Mm-hmm. So this seems like a long game. Like there is something, that there's a plan, like that, like they know something that isn't being told, or because it doesn't make any sense why you would build a facility that this, because you put this kind of money into it. This isn't like a pop-up tent. I mean, this is like a hard, solid building.
How long does it take to build a Walmart?
Exactly.
That's a big building.
Yeah.
I bet you can get that done pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So is this going to be for the people crossing the border, or the American citizens who have been demonized as the unvaccinated who are going to be moved there?
Initially, it's the people that are quarantining, then come to the fact that it'll be the people who are not vaccinated.
Okay, and are they going to be given like the like those silver tinfoil-ish looking blankets that you saw the kids in the cages rolling around in? I just want, is that the same?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to find the picture too. They just oh yep, here it is. I'm gonna bring up this picture so people can see. This is some pretty scary stuff coming out of China. It's going to be an image for ants here. I apologize for everybody. So put your nose against your screen. But I'm going to describe this for people. This is in China. This is police back here. There's 5 on each side, but there's 4 people that are in all white, like a hazmat type suit, and they're being paraded down the street in front of people with their name and their picture on like a placard, board in front of them. And because they defied the quarantine orders.
Okay, so
I mean, this is that dystopian stuff that and like I said, this is they're being paraded in front of everybody as criminals. I mean, and all they did was one of those things. It could have been something as simple as, my kid's screaming, I need to go get some food, but because you left.
So that's basically wearing the silver star that says Judah on it, and you get on the trains for the one-way trip to Dachau.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like I said, that just came out.
So that's so the final solution is still.
Yeah, and that wasn't too.
Being used.
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago, and that's. Yeah, they were just, it was lockdown rule breakers, and they're publicly shamed and paraded through the streets, basically that's pretty scary stuff.
Okay, Craig, since you just mentioned, shamed, it's becoming commonplace that if you're different, you're shamed. You show individuality, you're castigated. And when we were talking about a few ideas for tonight's show, I gave you a sample of local news about Ohio has its highest level of COVID hospitalization in 2 years. So there are more people being hospitalized even with all the vaccinations that have been used. Governor DeWine said 92.5% of all the new hospitalizations are the unvaccinated. So there's your public shaming of someone who is different.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things too, is like with the vaccination thing. I don't know if you guys heard about that Navy ship that was 100% vaccinated, the sailors. Everybody was fully vaccinated. They had to go under quarantine and lockdown on the ship. It came to port, and an unspecified number were sick. The report, like the unofficial reports, is that as many as maybe 25% of the crew is sick.
Well, that was my point. What with the mandated vaccines at colleges, pro sports, you had just in the last week or so, the NFL, NHL, and NBA having to reschedule so many games because the vaccinated players were having an outbreak, or the breakthrough cases. But it seems like there's so many breakthrough cases, even like that Dr. Sapphire on Fox News had it, even though she had all the vaccines.
Yeah,
A lot more things came out saying that a lot more research said that the Omicron variant was showing up more with vaccinated people than unvaccinated people, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, but you have so many people who have followed what's recommended, and they're still getting it. And if you remember, if we go back to the beginning of this year, all these media people would say, the vaccine came just at the start of the new year, and we can start the new year off with everyone being prevented from getting it. Well, it's kind of become, if you've had the 3 shots so far, we aren't talking about the 4th shot you might need in the spring, but if you've had all your shots and you get it, it's not going to be that bad.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like maybe this is a rush product and it really hasn't worked out too well.
Well, it's one of those, as people push it, and like for me, it's like I'm not anti-vaccine. It's one of those I've said to many people that I think we said in a show earlier too. It's just for me. Every other shot I've had, I can't catch it and I can't give it. Measles, mumps, rubella, hepatitis B. I mean, you go down the list. I can't catch it. I can't give it to you. This is a therapy. It's not even a real actual vaccine, and it's one of the, because it doesn't contain the COVID strain. And so it's one of those, it's, to me, until you can get to the point to where if I take it, I can't get it, then I don't have a problem with this. But right now I can't. I'm like, why do I want to take something that hasn't even gone through the actual, that was rushed, was given special permission, to get out there quicker. I go, it hasn't been fully tested like most vaccines were. It's like polio. I can't catch polio. I've had the shot. I said, go get your polio shot. Nobody wants to have that. Nobody wants to have measles. It's like, fine, take your shot. It's like, I got no problem with that. I mean, I've had all those shots. I go, but this one, it's like, what is the point of taking something where I can still get it and I can still give it to somebody else?
Oh, and Dr. Malone, the inventor of this mRNA technology, doesn't encourage it for children. And then here, doctors are pushing it on kids. It helps keep the schools open. Craig, just to follow up on what you said, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, was how many of these people who are being advocates for get vaccinated so that we can get back to normal. Well, how many of those people are actually on the payroll of some company who has stock? This is their company. They're being given stock options or something like that. Money's put into a Swiss bank account for them.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you were talking about the stocks and stuff. Pfizer is,
dude. There's so many effing commercials with Pfizer. It's not
well, Pfizer is making an absolute killing on this one. If anybody, you can go. This has to be disclosed, so you can go to any financial thing and just look up, what they've made, and we're talking billions of dollars, billions. And you see these things like when the government rolls out and says, hey, we're going to do this. Pfizer is making a killing off of this. They're making a killing off the testing. They're making a killing off, just the treatment and the vaccines. They are absolutely raking in a ton of money. I think we're approaching like $100 billion.
It's so many advertisements.
That they've made, in profit. And so it's, I've said that in many shows. It's like, if you really want to know what's going on, follow the money. And it's just, and so you see these things, and it's just this, it's the oldest thing in the book is to, you have both, you get both ends. It's like, it's like selling arms to both sides. You're always making money. It's like you're making money on the testing, you're making money on this, you're making all this cash, and it's just flowing in. And it's insane the amount of money that they're making off of this one incident.
I don't know if we need to wait till the pandemic's over or greatly reduced, but there needs to be some kind of accountability for some doctors who effed up every time they open their mouths, and conflicts of interest that you just kind of, fund gain of function research with taxpayer dollars being sent to an enemy country, and you're a major stockholder in a company that is going to be making one of the vaccines. Isn't that a conflict of interest?
It should be.
I'm not an economist, but
yeah, it should.
No one's saying anything about that. No one's held accountable. Oh, but Craig, you might be demonized for being unvaccinated, but you pull the stuff Fauci did, you get a free pack, and don't forget you can smash your cell phones and destroy 33,000 emails. There's no accountability whatsoever.
Well, that's the thing. It's when people, it's like, it's the bashing. It's the part that I found. I haven't had a whole lot of blowback, for one, just because I come from it from that perspective where I'm like, I've had all my vaccinations for this stuff, and I say it over and over again to people. It's like, why do I want to take something that I can catch it and I can give it to people? I don't understand that. I have the same result. It just not be doing and catching it. I can catch it and I can give it away. So why do I want to do this? Because I don't see a point to it, because it's not going to fix anything. Say, well, you have less of a chance. I had it. And I said, I didn't have one of the rare, like, severe side effects. Most people have a bad case of the flu. They have this, you look at the numbers. I mean, we're in the 90, we'll even go overly generous and we'll say 90% of people have normal flu-like symptoms, and the other people have more of severe. And it's just, these are consistent numbers. So it's one of those, like, most people, it's not out of fear of a vaccine. It's just a lot of people are in the same boat. I don't see the point of taking something that is still considered scientifically an experimental, vaccine, when I don't know. And that's the thing. It's not, I'm not anti. I mean, it's one of those, until this gets to the point, Viking, what's up with you? Yeah, he's looking like he's half asleep, just kind of drifting off. Yeah. So as we're getting closer here, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else on the news cycle that we've really missed. I mean, I know we had February 18th, we landed on Mars. We'll side table the conspiracy side that we've never been into space. We'll just say we have made it to space and we landed on Mars. All right. So we'll keep it for there. Yeah, Ireland. Yes. It kicked my ass for a couple of days. I lost 13 pounds. I took them all. For this one, I said I've had the entire regimen. So there's nothing. And so, it's one of those. So that's what like I always tell people. I'm not anti. I mean, I've had them all. I'm fully up to my shots. I'm like I said, I've had all the jabs. I've even taken the flu vaccine. I mean, I don't like to take it as much because I always seem to catch the flu. I don't understand this. I take the flu shot and I always seem to get the flu. So I'm usually hesitant on the flu stuff. Yeah, it's
how weren't some of the childhood vaccines tested much longer than a couple weeks before
years.
They said, "Oh, hey, it's ready to go." What?
Years of trials and stuff, leading up to the stuff.
Those who say, "Well, you're just anti-vaccine." No, I'm in favor of a product that works. Not roll something out so fast that you're the trial. It wasn't tested on amoebas or something like that. It's just go directly to you're the test.
Yeah, and Mona put this stuff. It's like people have been so nasty. It's one of those things. This isn't something to really. And I really wish people would take a step back, honestly, and just really evaluate this thing, because I want to remind everybody that's no matter what side you're on, we're less than 2 years removed from when we used to watch on TV. You'd see commercials you'd see the guy waking up, all, his eyes are all puffy. He looks like hell, and he pops, he drinks out of the bottle of Dayquil. He's like, all right, I'm ready for the day. And he goes to work. This is the life that we all lived. None of us were freaking out like this. We would go to work with a flu. We'd go shopping with a flu. All of us would do these things. This, for some reason, they hit on such a thing that people got to this panic stage. And I've tried, I've had this discussion with the people. What changed? Nobody had this problem. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like everybody's bought into this hysteria that this is going to kill it. And you think about it, when you actually see the things, this, yes, this is a new strain, so it's going to attack people differently. A lot of people, sick. Yeah, you can say, well, more people have died from this thing than your normal, flu, but at the same time, but not at the numbers that would warrant the reaction that we've gone to, this extreme to actually hating people. That's the part I don't get.
Yeah, okay. If we go back 100 years, and there was the Spanish flu was around for a couple years, did one, the flu the Spanish flu mutate over the last 100 years that we have one of the strain A or strain B's coming from that original Spanish flu?
Yeah.
I wonder about that. Did it just kind of disappear after 2 years? I
think it's still, there were still some mutations. I mean, it's one of those, that one, like the Spanish flu was so, I think a lot of people like to do the comparisons, but like nowadays, I mean, there's so much more just through medical, improvements. There's so much more people, so we're able to handle these better. It's like, yeah, we've had, I mean, nobody likes this comparison, just everybody freaks out, on different sides, but people seem to forget more people die every year from heart disease, from cancer, from, car accidents, there's all these things that more. And then, people always turn, clap back with, well, what, you don't care about the people who don't? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's just, why have we gotten to this thing that we're so afraid of this, that we're willing to tell a family member, no, I no longer want to have anything to do with you. I don't understand this. People are treating somebody who isn't wearing head to toe coverings and isolating themselves as they are the most dangerous person that they've ever seen in their life. And that's why I said we're 2 years removed from, literally, like I said, the DayQuil and NyQuil commercials, where, do you want to survive the day? Take NyQuil so you can wake up better. You're still going to work sick. That means, I'm giving Austin the flu at work, because I'm showing up with, nobody cared about that. Nobody was freaking out.
I got my
like
flu
this.
shot. That means I'm not going to get sick anymore.
Yeah, but now it's like you come in right now. I mean, you sneeze in a convenience store or a grocery store, and you might as well just pull the grenade. People are diving out of the way. And like I said, 2 years ago, you used to just look at the person hacking next to you. It's like, dude, man, come on, back up a little bit. And you didn't really care. Yeah, and that's and like I said, a lot of people know people that have that have died, and that's the thing. It's one of those, and I don't know if it's social media. I don't know if it's what it is that it's so more prevalent, like in your face. Because I think I talked to you guys a few weeks ago about this, where it seems like more like on Facebook. It's like, everybody, I need prayers. I got a family member. And I don't know if just social media is so much more prevalent that you're hearing more about it or what, but but in numbers, I don't know. I just get away from the whole, is it dangerous? Isn't it? I just want to know why, as a society, that we've gone to this far extreme to where the hate for our fellow human being is so extreme. I don't understand it.
That can be traced back to some political leaders and some who were appointed, where they have just demonized anyone who disagrees with them. You can start with Plandemic, that came out right as the whole thing began. That came out just under 2 years ago. Politicians I just gave you the example of blaming the unvaccinated for all the problems. But I think at this point, you have so many smart news consumers who see through the crap.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're wondering, wow, is that politician who is saying something that is so unscientific, is he being funded by the CCP? Is he part of the New World Order type thing? I don't think people are stupid. They see what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. I mean, we can get, like, one of the things, like, I really, like, everybody seems to kind of forget that some of the people that are really pushing, on the high ups, the power players, they are also really involved in other aspects of social engineering, wanting, whether it's population control, you go down these things, and, and that's one of those things, like, if somebody's watching that, you're going to have some people that naturally, they're like, man, if they're for it, I'm against it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, I can't say it hard enough. It's like, I've taken all my shots. I go, so that must tell you something. If I'm hesitant to take this one, I'm like, I don't have a problem. It's just one of those, I'm going to wait. It's like, maybe next year, if the things are coming out and they start to figure this out, okay, I might take it. But right now, I can't do it. And then when you have people like Fauci saying, well, we need to possibly start restricting people for domestic travel. And you have to ask yourself, why? I'll keep saying it. 2 years ago, we had no problem of somebody full on case of the flu hopping on a plane. And now somebody has the sniffles, and you got to have a temperature check. You got to have, you got to show your card. You got to show all this stuff. And it's like, what has changed, society? And I think it just comes down, like Chris said, this is the a mass hysteria, and it's just kind of built on that, and it's gotten worse.
Well, why are healthcare staff members the most vaccine hesitant?
Yeah,
then they're getting fired because they aren't going along with what the hospital says, and now you have this artificial shortage of hospital staff members. And now states are bringing in like the National Guard to manage take up the short supply of medical officials in the hospital. So that's not adding up either.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you on that, because you think about it.
There's so many things that just don't add up, and I think after 2 years, people are wising up to what's going. They see through it.
Well, what I want, like one of those things, like you said with the healthcare professionals, and this is one of the things I've wanted. Like, I'm curious with people, and maybe people could think about this and answer this question for me as well. Like put it in the chat. Answer in the chat room. Like I said. At what point? So November 1st was this arbitrary deadline for healthcare professionals to be vaccinated around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Why, if you don't remember, months ago, these were the unsung, these songs were, praise about these heroes in the medical industry, the bravery, what they've done. How did they go from being heroes, everybody celebrate them, to these are now, irresponsible, dangerous people who are refusing the shot, and this is this arbitrary line. If anything, these are the people. Why is October 31st they're completely fine, but November 1st they are dangerous and irresponsible, and we must let them go? That was a thing I don't ever really gather from that I don't understand is on this aspect of that. Truly is like, why was this such an issue all of a sudden that they had to be vaccinated, or they can no longer work in the hospital that they've been in for the last 2 years?
What do they know that they aren't telling us? But that's a little. And I agree with you that you get these arbitrary dates. The nurses know what they're doing. But the next day they're fired because they just won't comply. Well, they're still very competent people, and you just bring in someone else who may not know that like the National Guard. You're just brought in to help out starting tomorrow. Let's just say tomorrow. Well, you're coming from another state. How do you know the patient's history? But the hospital just let go someone who's been working with just say a dialysis patient for 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That the experienced nurse knows how you respond, checking you after the session is over. You feel more confident that the patient is being cared by people who have experience with them. They know all some of the nuances, and they have the records. it's a better system instead of the demonizing and shunning of people because they won't comply. I I think there's going to be a big fallout at some point, and I don't think it's really with the nurses. It's with the people, like the politicians who have been uh, told by their higher ups to just demonize anyone who won't go along.
Mhm.
And it's exploited by the media, but it's also doing their job. Just the governor gets in front of the camera, and the media's there. But you know, is that governor being told to shun everyone who is not complying? So to answer your question from earlier is who is ultimately behind this? Is it like the New World Order types,
Yeah,
elites?
that's always the biggest thing. It's like, what's what's the end game? Because
Yeah.
there's some things. It's like it always leads to questions. Like Omicron seems to be a much milder. It seems to be it's easier to catch, but from all indications, there is such a lower chance of death, of severe illness, that it's like a bad cold. Most cases it's a really bad cold. And so you're seeing on the news, oh my God, this is exploding. We have cases all over the place, but you're not seeing the severity that it was from before. So once again, why is there such this mass push for, should we lock down again? Should we do these things? If it's getting better, it seems one of those things that it should be more of a celebration that we're getting a handle on this, that we're actually getting to the point to where it's not as much of a health hazard as it was originally. And that's one of those things where it gets back to, everybody's, I don't know if we're ever going to get back to normality like we used to know, we used to term it. I don't know if we're ever going to be there again. But if I had to leave with one thing, I wish we could get back to, caring about the humanity, the human side of this, and demonizing each other. It's just one of those things. It's just like anything. You have that choice. Let the person make the choice. It's one of the things. If you don't feel comfortable being around somebody who's sick, you shouldn't have to be around somebody that's sick. But at the same time, it's like, if somebody chooses it, this is once go back to like 2 years ago, nobody cared if somebody didn't have the flu shot. You didn't tell them, I never want to see you again. I don't want you coming over to my house because you haven't had the flu shot. Nobody did this before. Now all of a sudden, this has become such a major issue. If you feel so sure like this is going to help you, take it. Awesome. But there's no reason to hate your neighbor.
Well,
and that's the part I don't get, is just why this hate that has for everybody.
It's been perpetuated by the higher ups. And what
I think that's what, like Carolyn's saying, the metaverse, I think that's why Facebook is kind of gone the way of Google with Alphabet, and they've created Meta. I think that was one of those. That would be a good one to kind of just end up on here. Just like the metaverse. I think that's one of those. They're kind of just showing that the Facebook, entity is trying to become kind of like the power player in the social media side, because they have Instagram. I'm trying to think what else they have. I know it's Instagram, obviously Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure they got Messenger, PayPal. I think is one of the other ones.
TikTok.
No, TikTok's owned.
That's Chinese owned. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah, the WhatsApp. Yep. And so I think it's just in a combined there. I think that's one of those that they're trying to. It's an umbrella corporation, but it's not something. It's not like its own. Like it's this whole thing like they're doing. I think they just went something like it's an all-encompassing, kind of like how I said with all of Google, they created Alphabet, which covers all of their things that they do. And so Alphabet is the parent company. And so I kind of think that's what thing. It's like, but the metaverse is, I mean, everything's changing. I mean, social media is just its own animal. It's just crazy. It's just because it drives things. The movie, it's okay. If anybody's seen it, Don't Look Up. That was, I won't get too much. I watched it, but it is definitely a commentary on the state of social media because, the premise is, something's coming to Earth, and everybody's more concerned about the pop star and boyfriend breaking up and doing all these things, through social media, like the TikTok things. They're more concerned about this than something that's actually facing, an actual devastating thing that's going to face the planet. And so it's, but that's, it's, so I'm looking at some of the comments there. So I think that's kind of what meta for me is what that's involved. Teresa, it's kind of the same thing. It's just, I think it all comes down really to just like what we said earlier. It's the magician's hand. I think a lot of this stuff, as long as we can keep you distracted, keep everybody tied to these aspects, the January 6th uprising, COVID, if we keep these things going, everybody's going to be so focused on these things. Nobody's paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes. Because you're so distracted, you're so worried about hating your neighbor, trying to figure out why your neighbor doesn't want anything to do with us. And Chris, that's Chris, kind of like the thing I do. I wonder if it is, predictive programming, that if they know something's, because it's kind of funny that, they've talked about objects that are coming this way and from space. And so, spoiler alert, it's kind of what the movie's about. So but we're getting close to having to wrap it up here. It's an hour and a half. This is fun. We'll have to do this. We got to do this more often. I enjoy these.
Oh, that was a very informative discussion. And it's just kind of a couple general ideas. And
I think as long as you keep it, everybody's like, aren't you worried about getting Trump? It's like, no, because I don't think we're talking anything that's dangerous. It's like, I don't think at any point I've told anybody don't get a shot. You're stupid if you do. I'm just telling flat out the reason why I haven't yet.
I don't think we've said anything that other people haven't said.
But and that's Julie just put Happy New Year. Yep, it's Happy New Year to everybody as well. For those that are tuning in, those are got to leave or anything. It's just that I think so. Wrapping, I think 2022. I honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I honestly think it's going to be a little more chaotic than this year. I really do. I don't really see it calming down because, unfortunately, guys, we're coming into the midterms.
But once everyone's sworn in by 2023, you might see.
So I think
things calming down.
I think coming, it's like I'm hoping that we can have some good stuff. But if everybody's like their wishes for a new year, everybody world peace type of thing. If I could ask for one thing, I think it would just be for all of us to start treating people like we used to, as just a normal human being. I mean, it's like you don't have to agree with somebody's choice, but you don't have to treat them like garbage. You don't have to hate them. You don't. This is the thing. I wish people could get past this. I don't know how that happens. I really don't.
Well, Craig, you're talking about We don't have to hate each other. I mean, we have so many people coming into the Three Beards chat room. Everyone's from so many different backgrounds. Guests are from all kinds of backgrounds, and all the friendships have spilled over into so many different other areas.
Yeah, and it's yeah, I think it is. It's just it's one of those, and kind of like we said, it's just we've built a lot of good friendships. I mean, there's been a lot of connections that have been made this last year. I see that growing. I just see we're definitely going to have some stuff to talk about. Chris mentioned it too, and so we'll do that in another show. I think geopolitics side, I really think the drums are being beat right now. Because right now I feel like we're sitting on the powder keg between Russia, China, because one little thing could go wrong and the Taiwan China thing is going to explode. And so, and then that's all it's going to take to ignite the proverbial powder keg and just cause chaos. And Mona, I agree. The hate has to. I mean, it really has to. I said it a few times already in the show. Let's get back to the Dayquil, NyQuil, commercial thing where we just, we can go to work, and just, like I said, just be smart. It says if you don't feel good, stay home. You don't have to, but it's just like you don't have to. It's not the end of the world. It's literally, I think more people are causing themselves problems from fear. I really do. The stress. I mean, that's a known thing. If you're stressed out, that you're more prone to being to illness. So I really think if people could start figuring out a way to deal with stress, that they'd probably find themselves in a lot better place. I really do.
That's a good point.
Yeah. But I said, everybody, Happy New Year. I really appreciate everybody watching. We seem like we had a really good chat dialogue, and stuff. And I said everything, like YouTube is really cool. We have chat room was going crazy in YouTube. I love it. I like seeing that. And so that's everybody. Thanks for what. Happy New Year, Mark. Eddy, can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. You've helped us out. I mean, I said, everybody, you can check him out too, because he also gave it to us. I'll tout him again. I didn't do the best job in the last show, but Ancient American, Quarterly here. There's a article by Mark about America's Stonehenge. He wrote there, with Dennis Stone, and so you got that. You can check him out there. Nightlight Radio with Barbara DeLong. You can catch him there trying to keep out of trouble with Barbara. As he does, it seems does a pretty good job because he hasn't been booted yet. So I'd say
Charlie got me in trouble a couple weeks ago again.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think Barbara and I kind of smoothed things over. She was a little upset there, and she had to censor about 30 seconds. But other than that, that's everything's on the up and up. And this is always fun. Stopping into do something with.
Yep. Well, that's why I wanted to bring it, because like I said, you've been since we're going on in May. Yeah, May it'll be 2 years that we've worked together. Mm-hmm. So it's been really good, and it's like it's just everybody can't thank you enough for every time you've shared the show, you've supported it. We've had people that have bought some merchandise. We really appreciate that. I mean, that helps support us. Like I said on the screen, redbubble.com, Three Beards Podcast, or you can go to threebeardspodcast.com and pick up merchandise. We are still in need of a sponsor. So that's, so hopefully next year the New Year's resolution, we can get a sponsor there, but you can also catch this chaos and fun times on ERRT Radio, which is rebroadcast every Wednesday night, starting 11-ish, depending on when Joey and Tanya Into the Outer Realms gets done. We get the privilege of following them. But just so check us out on social media. We're on everything: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We even have a few videos up there. YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, and that seems to really help with the algorithm with everybody commenting. So we really appreciate that. So happy New Year's, everybody. Have a great one. We will see you January 5th as the next show, and we're going to be talking with boys Tom Cardos and Brian M. Bowden. We're going to be talking about deep underground military bases around everywhere, and Phil Schneider. So that's going to be a fun time. So we will do that. And I think we're also going to have Lauren Smith, who is involved with the Cajun Navy. She's currently helping with the relief efforts in Kentucky. So that's the other thing that happened in 2021. Everybody, thoughts and prayers for everybody that was in that devastation. I mean, that from Illinois, I think it was Indiana, I think suffered some too, Ohio and Kentucky. That was some brutal storms. So everybody, think of them. And I just really appreciate everybody. As like I said, it's like we can't do it without you guys watching. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great night. Happy New Year. We will see you January 5th.